Hey fam, I just returned from London Wine Fair, and as you might know, it was a blast, as always. But there is also this sentiment in the air that people are feeling stressed by the decreasing wine consumption, the lower interest in alcohol, in drinks, and alcoholic beverage in general. And on the other side, I also had absolutely amazing interviews and conversations with incredible people who, let's say, gave me a more positive outlook on what might come and how we can inspire younger generations, especially Gen Z and Alpha, to fall in love with wine and the industry without, the alcoholic part of it. And my belief is very simple. Every challenge always brings opportunities. So it's not about bashing alcohol or defending it. It's about shifting our focus to quality over quantity. Drink less, but better. Well, actually, it sounds super easy, I know, but it's not. We have to do our job, embracing storytelling, highlighting craftsmanship, and offering unforgettable experiences. It's about making wine accessible, engaging, and personal, and, moving beyond dry seminars to something that is truly special. So join me on this episode as we explore these exciting possibilities, integrating insights from recent articles and 3 inspiring interviews from the heart of the industry. So grab a glass of whatever you want to drink, lean back, and enjoy this amazing episode. Welcome to the Pinot and Pixel podcast episode number 267. And as you might noticed, this episode is in English because I know there are so many people watching and listening to this piece from the UK, from the US, and also from other non-German speaking countries. And this is why I decided to wrap this episode up in English. And the 3 episodes I recorded were also recorded in English. So, well, I guess you're used to it after you have listened to 100 episodes of Pinot and Pixel in English. So please forgive me, but I wanted to wrap this up for everybody and ensure that more people can have access to it. So before we start talking about the shift that is going on and focusing on the interviews on the positive side, let's try to understand the current, I would say, landscape of the drinkers industry. And there have been so many articles in the past that especially put the spotlight on this huge shift that is happening. We had an article in Winemakers that was talking about the current development in Germany, also having an outlook on the political situation that is currently changing and what might happen with wine and also the cannabis consumption in the country. The good thing about this article was that they said we should focus on the positive outlook, yet it underscored the undeniable challenges that we are facing in this industry. Same or quite similar, an article from Vinexposium that was talking about the reboot, quote unquote, of the wine industry, a quite strong term that signals a profound transformation rather than just, a blip. And this is what it's all about, guys. We have to understand that this is an actual cultural shift. And you know what? It's not a bad thing. This has happened thousands times before, and those who were able to adapt survived and, came out of this in a better, or at least in a good way. And talking about the change, it was also part of the opening talk at London Wine Fair, where Miles Beale, the head of the WSTA in the UK, said that we are facing a seismic change in the UK wine trade, and was illustrating the very real pressure on the businesses over there, talking about the trade in general, the more difficult situation through Brexit and everything that came along with that. And in addition, the changes in the tax system that were introduced in February this year. But there are also good things, and we will talk about that in a second when we come to, let's say, what English wine can focus on when it comes to especially attracting the younger ones and their morals, their thoughts, and the things that are most important or more important for them. Because Generation Z generally, and this will also come with Generation Alpha because it's 2025. And talking about Gen Alpha, in 3 years, they will turn 18 and they will be able to drink alcohol legally. So you have to think about it if you want to have them as a customer and you're selling alcohol. If not, you can focus on them, of course, as well, maybe earlier, especially when we talk non-alcoholic drinks. But usually we talk about the LDA, legal drinking age people at the age of 18. And Gen Alpha, it's time, 3 years to come. And there was this article on the interview of the Asahi CEO. We talked about that in the podcast maybe 4 or 5 episodes ago. He was putting out that the most important factor for especially Gen Z, that they are drinking less, is not because, they are not interested in alcohol or they are focused on their health or they have, wellness or fitness issues. No, it's because their screen time is way higher than looking at the other generations, millennials, Gen Z, and the boomers as well. If you spend more time with your mobile phone, you spend less time with your peers, especially in social interactions, which is usually connected to the consumption of alcohol. So the more screen time you're having, the less time you're having with your friends, with your peers, and also with alcoholic beverages. Because less face-to-face interactions means fewer traditional social drinking occasions. But nevertheless, there is actually a more, let's say, critical view on the substance alcohol, especially in special occasions, after sports or during official meetings or business situations. We recently talked about what was going on in China, where they said no more alcohol will be allowed during official meetings. And of course, this reflects a more broader health-conscious trend in society. And of course, there are other competitors jumping into the ring. For example, a recent article in the Forbes magazine pointed out how cannabis drinks are reshaping booze. So on the one hand, there are these crossover products that actually can play a bigger role in the drinks industry. On the other hand, cannabis itself as a substance is not just a niche anymore. In conversations with retailers like Waitrose, for example, at London Wine Fair, it turned out to be one of the most exciting, interesting, and fastest growing category. So we have to have an eye on that as well. More and more countries are legalizing it, and people are actually looking for the buzz or the booze, and it might be good if this is on your map, if you are selling booze. Actually, you should consider products like that if this suits your business model. And I mean, looking at the US, it's already significant over there. There are also studies showing that there has been a shift from, for example, craft beer drinkers to cannabis consumption. Wine is not that affected, but we are seeing that. And I think in Germany, it's just a matter of time. It was legalized in 2024. And I mean, if the current government will not change that, we might see products like this popping up as well. So, I mean, it might take some time for wine, but for beer, or there was a recent article with, what was it called? Cannabis Drinks Booster or something like this. It looked like a pill, basically. You just throw in your casual drink, so you add an extra buzz to your drink. So for retailers, it can mean offering a more, I would say, inclusive range, having that, and pimping your adult beverages, embracing the diverse consumption landscape. So the landscape is shifting rapidly, but instead of seeing this as a threat, what if we see this as an opportunity for wine to reinvent itself and to truly connect with the new generation? And of course, I was super interested what the voices of the industry have to say to the current situation. How can we have a more positive outlook on the drinks industry? And how do we get Gen Z to engage with the product, with the industry, and also, of course, with the growers? And first in the row was this guy, my friend Tom Wedgery from Sandwich Barton. I talk a lot about Sandwich Barton because for me, they invented wine tourism, completely new in the UK. We made an episode on that. I called it the blueprint for wine tourism because it is actually the thing. Talking about experiences and what we can do to attract more customers, younger customers, and maybe even keep the existing ones. So let's listen to Tom, what he has to say.
How can we paint a more positive picture on the wine industry?
I think it's the way you can paint it more positively is to kind of view it for what it is, which is like a very kind of ancient craft. There's a lot of process involved. You spend a year nurturing something. It goes through an incredibly complex process, and you're left with this product that has been drunk for thousands of years, that can be a really beautiful thing. It can be versatile. It brings people together. It can be very food friendly, and I think it's just sort of thinking of it slightly differently, not as a means to go and get drunk, but think of it as a celebration of someone's hard work and passion.
How do we get new customers, especially the younger ones?
Younger customers, I mean, we do quite a lot. So we do sort of events at the winery. We have like DJs coming in, and our wine pairs perfectly with sunshine and with good music, and sort of innovative food dishes. And I think it's just having that whole like kind of vineyard experience. I mean, one thing that we're really lucky with is that we do have a winery and a vineyard and a tasting room where we can attract people to, and we can talk them through the process, and we can really get our message out to people, and they really sort of buy into that. So I think it's really connecting people with the process and the beauty of what's involved with it, basically. So I think that's how you engage the young people, is show them actually really what's involved in making a bottle of wine, which is a lot, and it's fascinating.
So what's your call to action for the people who are watching and listening?
My call to action is, if you are near any vineyard or winery, is to go and visit and learn about how it's done, and to really listen to the process from start to finish, and taste the wine, and hopefully you'll sort of be able to understand that there's a lot of blood, sweat and tears that go into it, especially in the English wine industry. And then I think you can kind of appreciate the quality more, and certainly look for wines which are smaller production, focused on quality and concentration of flavour, rather than just big mass-produced stuff, because there's less of a story in that, and that's when it loses. That's when it loses. That's when the meaning kind of dies a little bit.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Al.
So as Tom highlights, it is crucial to offer guided tours, making English wine a tangible experience, and taking this as a chance to directly address the desire for authenticity, for craftsmanship, and direct connection. That resonates deeply, especially with younger customers. It's about demystifying wine and bringing it to life. Let's put it like this. About 2 hours later, I had this interview with Luke from Everfly. By the way, Luke, if you're listening to this, congratulations to your wedding. He told me at London Wine Fair that he will get married 4 days after the London Wine Fair, and he was, he seemed kind of relaxed. So thank you very much for the interview. Luke has a very similar approach, and I think that the general mindset that both Tom and Luke were sharing is something that you should consider for your winery. So let's listen to Luke, what he has to say.
Luke, how can we paint a more positive picture of the wine industry, of the drinks industry?
I think really what we should focus on about is what wine. Let's focus on wine, shall we? Wine brings people together, over food, over occasions, be it weddings, birthdays. I think we need to focus on those moments and how that interaction can be, not in a bad way in terms of like alcohol abuse or anything like that, but actually just more of a social element, in a kind of fun environment with friends, with colleagues, in a responsible way. I think you've always got to put the responsibility into it, but that's definitely how we need to look at wine, alcohol going forward over food. That's what I would say.
How do we get to the young consumers, especially Generation Z?
Bring really cool cars.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one way, but no, honestly, I think experiential events, do something different, bring them down to the vineyards, show them the actual process, what goes into it, get them hands-on, get them into the vineyards, actually working the vineyards, or making get them involved with making the wine, show them what goes into blending, dosage trials, still wine, some barrel work. Just get people involved, If people like to learn, if you're learning and you're trying something cool and interesting and you're seeing how it's made, you get a better connection. I think that's probably how we should go about it.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
So experiences, tastings, vineyard tours. This is what it's all about. It's about creating memories around wine and creating something shareable, something to remember. And what was very interesting, right after I pressed stop on the camera, we were talking about some more opportunities the English wine industry and especially English wine could offer. Because for me, on a practical note, consider English wines as a general, I would say, solution for the desire of drinking less and drinking less but better. Because due to climate change, most English wines sit between 8 and 11% alcohol. And I don't know, there are only few wine regions in the world that are still able to produce dry wines, ripe wines, between 8 and 11% alcohol. So this is a huge opportunity, a huge advantage actually for the English wine industry, and it feels like a natural fit for the ethos drink less but better. And when I asked my colleague Ben, who was also judging in the IWA Awards, if he would be open for an interview, he said, yes, of course. And I was like, let's talk about your approach, because Ben is in charge of canned wine company, and they are offering a broader range of wines in cans. But guess what? Quality wines. So we are talking about perfect branding, about very tasty and higher quality products, and the approach of showing people that quality wine in cans can actually exist. And in the interview, it turned out that, well, it is an opportunity to talk about a different packaging, but he also said a very, very important phrase at the end.
Ben, there has been a lot of alcohol bashing in the past. How can we paint a more positive picture on the wine and drinks industry?
Well, the wine and drinks industry is actually super positive. We're all moving towards more of an experience delivery, and that means everything around you elevates. The value of the moment that you're sharing, the wine that you're drinking. It's all about kind of drinking less but better, which has been going on for a while. And I think what that does, it encourages quality experience, and that's really important, because in a quality experience, we're all much more social, and wine starts coming back to what it's really exciting, which is other people and bringing people together. So with single serve or kegs or wine on tap, or even innovative new grape varieties or old vines, or some of these beautiful labels on bottles, there's so much innovation going on in the wine industry and spirits and beer in general. And we just need to really focus on that experience delivery. And the more and more we push towards experiences, the better everything is.
What would be your call to action for Generation Z?
Call to action for Generation Z is challenge your brands, make sure they're working hard for you. We need to do more for you guys and give you that excellent piece of choice in the wine industry.
So Ben's company not only shows that innovation in packaging and distribution can boost accessibility while maintaining a strong commitment to quality, it's also about breaking down all perceptions and showing that great wine can come in new, convenient formats, fitting modern lifestyles and contributing to drinking less but better. And what was the most interesting part of the interview is what he said at the end. Brands should do more for you. This is so important, guys, because we all know there is way too much wine on the planet. And of course, we can de-alcoholize some of it and sell it as a non-alcoholic product. But in the end, I think to get a balance, we should get rid of, 20%, maybe even 30% of the whole vineyard area on the planet. And, this is difficult. So what will happen is that the quality, the more premium, higher quality range, they will stay, and the super cheap ones as well, and the mid-range will fade. So caring about your customers as a brand is super important, and this also means that you have to speak their language and you have to be where their attention is. And this brings me to the next point, the path forward. What can we actually do to reach the existing customers and the new generation, the newer customers. And to truly reach Gen Z and Alpha, and this is not only a thing for the drinks industry, we can't ignore the power of social media, of influencers, and online communities. It is there, it is happening, and especially with all the algorithms on the social media platforms that are changing from what we are following and who we are following, and even ignoring who we are following, to I know what you are interested in, my man. I give you what you are interested in. And just, they once a day, every algorithm is able to pull me into this, dumb scrolling thing if I'm not able to just jump out of it, because they know what I'm interested in. It's scary, isn't it? And it's working. And if you find a way to use this for your brand, you will definitely succeed. And again, when we talk about like social gatherings and moments to share with each other, communities are very, very important, because in the end, you build a community around wine or around another drinks category where enthusiasts can share, learn, and feel a sense of belonging. And this also accounts for the alcohol-free space. Because for me, a key part for the future is including the whole NoLo category, making it normal to have it on the menu, in your list, on your website, or just in your cellar. When people come over and say, hi, I just want to be able to offer a high quality drink that gives them this moment to remember, even without alcohol. Think about that. And I mean, of course, everybody's talking about the super successful category of NoLo drinks, especially of the non-alcoholic ones. And guys, it's not a trend anymore. It's there. It's here to stay, and it will grow. It will grow very, very quickly, and we should definitely adjust. So by offering high quality non-alcoholic wines or low ABV alternatives, it means that everyone can participate in the wine experience, regardless of their alcohol consumption choice. It should be about the moment, about the people, and not about the level of booze in it. So guys, what shall I say? It's quite obvious. The industry must be open to everyone, whether they drink a little, a lot, or no alcohol at all. It's about creating welcoming and non-judgmental environments. And in combination with storytelling, with craftsmanship, and with authenticity, a very, very important thing, which also some brands are struggling with, especially in the non-alcoholic space, trying to pretend being something or someone, but Gen Z gets that, guys. So offering experiences, tours, tastings, events, bringing people together and making the product tangible, this is very, very important. It's not about pushing consumption, but it's about inspiring a genuine appreciation for wine as a unique, enjoyable, and crafted product. And I mean, in the end, again, drink less but better. Drink maybe one bottle of your favorite wine that is of higher quality, rather than having 3 bottles of a crappy one that gives you just the booze and the headache the next morning. Because it's a secret, but when you turn older, it gets tougher, guys. And by older, I mean 30 plus. So guys, to wrap this up, the shift in the consumption is real, and you could see it as a threat, but it can also be seen as a tremendous opportunity for the wine sector to evolve, to reconnect, and to innovate. It's about looking at these developments with positivity and making the absolute best out of it. And of course, this means work, guys. Sure. But in the end, it will pay out, because the focus on craftsmanship, on storytelling, on unforgettable experiences will ensure that wine remains relevant, desirable, and cherished by generations to come. It has been part of our culture, and even if we don't like, and especially I don't like this phrase, this term, it will be here in 20, 30, 50 years. There is just a shift, and if we are able to adapt, then we can be successful. So I encourage you to explore wine with fresh eyes, seek out for unique experiences, broaden your perspective on this incredible drinks category. There's so much to explore, guys. And it doesn't matter what level of alcohol you're looking for. There is something available for everyone. If you want to learn more about that, hit me up at on social media, Pinot Pixel, or if you have a question, send me an email at podcast@pinotpixel.com. Thank you so much for listening, guys. It was a blast. As always, have a wonderful week. See you on Saturday with the weekly update. Back in German. Ciao, ciao.